Welcome to today's webinar, everyone. If you're with us for the UX90 HOBO Time of Use webinar, we'll get started in another couple minutes as we see a lot of folks still dialing in, so we have to be patient for a moment longer, and we'll get started. All right, I think we are at the top of the hour here, so first and foremost I want to thank everyone for spending a little time with us, whether it's morning, afternoon, or even evening where you're dialing in from. Again, this is UX90 HOBO Time of Use webinar, and shortly, in a few minutes, I'll be introducing your presenter, Matt Rivers. I am Ed Filippo, and we will get started. So just a little bit about me, so you can kind of put some background to the voice on the phone here. Again, my name is Ed Filippo, and I manage Onset's applications team here at Onset. I've been doing this for more than 6 years. So my background is in data logging and monitoring, and the team that I work with here is a very experienced team that many of you may have been in touch with before, really combining for 40 plus years of combined total data logging experience. So enough about me, and about the webinar, just some housekeeping here. Typically these webinars run for about 40 minutes. We'll certainly save time for questions. And for those of you who are familiar with GoToWebinar, please do not hesitate to type in your questions in the question panel for the GoToWebinar, and we will certainly look to address those at the end during the question period. Also, if we do not respond to your question live, sometimes we just get so many questions that we cannot, or they are very sophisticated, they involve some research, or they have a long answer. We'll take that offline, so that's no problem. And lastly, this webinar is being recorded, so if you can't be with us the entire time, we will follow up with a link in an email. This way you can certainly rewatch it, or in some cases watch it for the first time. So let's get into what we're going to talk about today. We're going to get into a quick intro and company overview. Many of you may have already been using the time of use type data loggers from Onset or other HOBO data logger products, or there may be some of you who are new to Onset, so we'll quickly go through that. Then we'll get into really the markets and the measurements that that Onset is involved with. And then really we'll spend the bulk of our time talking about the UX90 series, which is on this time of use data loggers. And certainly we like to leave you off with some good resources. And as I mentioned before, we will always leave time for questions at the end. So just a quick overview about Onset. We've been in business for 35 years. We're privately held, 130, 140 employees. And the fun thing is, in this image you see of the building here, everything is designed here, engineered here, manufactured here, sold here, and supported here. So we're really proud of that, as we are located in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, so it makes us pretty unique to have the beach a mile away from us and have this business here. As we've been in business for some time, we sold quite a few loggers over the years, 2.5 million to this point, which is a pretty significant number. And certainly, we may have some on the phone with us today, we do have a global network of distributors. So if if you're in a country outside the U.S. or the U.S., we do have a network of channel partners that you can check out on our website. And I'd just like to always iterate with people that our focus here is on data logging and monitoring. We're really not into the control aspect of the business, or necessarily we really here in-house do not do a lot of the analytics of the data, but we give you the tools to make that happen fairly easily for you. So we like poll questions here, so I just want to throw a question out to the group, if you bear with me for a second. So straightforward, are you currently using data loggers? So if, give me a second, I will launch this. All right, so you should hopefully be seeing this poll here. So we'll leave it open for a few seconds just to kind of get a flavor for what's going on. So far as this is kind of trending, it seems that the vast majority of folks out there are, yes, using data loggers and using HOBO data loggers. So that's great. So we really thank you for doing that. And certainly the folks who answered yes, they're using a different type of logger, hopefully we'll be able to show you an easier way or more efficient way to tackle an application that you may be working on. And certainly for the no's out there, hopefully this is an education for you. So I am going to close the polls here, because I think we have enough here, and let's see. All right. All right, so what we will do here is introduce today's presenter. So Matt Rivers here has been with Onset for 6.5 years. He is a product application specialist. He spends the majority of his time working with folks like you on the pre-sale side, really with customers and distributors, educating them in applications on the building performance side. Certainly he has a educational background in electrical engineering, so certainly you're in very good hands. So without further ado, I would like to welcome in Matt Rivers. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Ed, thanks for the intro. Hello, everybody. Thanks for taking the time out of your day today to spend with Ed and I to go through some of our cool data loggers. I'm glad to see that we have a lot of people who have used the products in the past, or in the present, I should say. And I'm also glad to see that there are people on the line that have never used data loggers at all. So we really appreciate the support, and hopefully you'll get some great information out of this presentation. Click somewhere in the box there so I can just So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the market focus we have with data loggers. As you can see from this slide, we focus on a few different markets with our products. On the building performance side, we're really looking at understanding energy efficiency and certain indoor environmental monitoring applications, such as temperature, relative humidity, also energy consumption, plug loads, kWh, all kinds of great things within the building performance market. On the environmental research side, we do a lot of environmental monitoring, whether it's water or even climate monitoring. We make weather stations. For those who don't know a lot about our products, there's one thing as a product, and there's great information on the website. As Ed shared with you from the beginning, we will put some resources up at the end of the webinar in case you're interested in looking at other markets and other data loggers that we have to offer. So let's specifically focus on the energy market today and the different industries and applications and the types of users that use our products. As you can see from this slide, we do a lot in the performance contracting world with our data loggers, specifically measuring light on off or motor on off. We have a lot of different energy consultants that work with us, utility companies, commissioning partners, anything really focused in that world when it comes to trying to understand how things operate in a bunch of different applications, whether it is the basic level 2 ASHRAE energy audit, or just understanding if the building automation system within a facility is actually doing what it says it's doing. We really cover the realm well with our data loggers. And a lot of different users that use our products, as you can see here, anyone from the energy auditor right up through the lead specialist. We have a lot of different folks that use our products, and also very heavy in the educational world as well for universities. So some of the measurements that we really cover here, again, I alluded to it in the slide when we were talking about different markets, is the environmental world, energy power, as you can see from the different things here. Where we're going to focus today is really under the time of use world when it comes to lighting on off, motor on off, state changes, occupancy and lighting, and just trying to understand events from different pieces of equipment or just different episodes within a building. So here's our second poll question. And with that poll question, I'll put it up here for you. Let me see here. And I'm going to launch it. So I'll put it out there. And the real question here is, where is it? This right here. We're going to drag it over. Click back in there. Sorry guys, little technical difficulties. And the poll's open here. Really comes down to what is your primary application for data loggers? So as you're getting through the vote here, right now it's really energy project driven, as we can see, a lot of HVAC type applications or indoor air quality. And of course we have other indoor monitoring as well. What's great about these poll questions is, it really gives us an understanding of who is on the line and understanding, what their needs are. So at this point we're going to close it up, and we thank you for, addressing the question. And we'll just keep moving right along here. Okay, so from here, let's talk about the UX90 series of data loggers. We do have some different flavors here, starting off with a state event pulse runtime data logger, our UX90 001, and going right down through to our UX90 006 data logger, which is for lighting and occupancy. And I'm going to touch on every single one of these data loggers and give you a quick explanation of what they do as we go forward here. So let's take a quick tour of the data logger itself. It's a pretty simple design. We have a button icon right here, as you can see the arrow pointing to it, which is a start button, and also can be enabled as a stop button when you want to stop logging in the field. The battery door is right up on the top. It takes a simple CR2032 battery to make this operate. Data logger normally lasts, or I should say the batteries normally last about a year, and they are changeable by the user. We do have auto calibration feature built into these data loggers, which I'll go over as we go forward here. We do show on the LCD screen for this particular logger, being a light on-off logger, we do show the on-off indicator for this particular logger. And you'll see that on any of the UX90 loggers. It kind of helps you understand if the logger is actually doing what it says it's supposed to be doing. We have some mounting tabs for very different mounting, whether it's with Velcro. We also have built into the data logger rare earth magnets. So specifically, if you have a surface that can accept the magnet, this will stick right to it. The USB port, that's how all the communication is done with the data logger, start to finish. And you can actually see updates, depending on what you're logging, right on the screen. And this screen refreshes every 15 seconds when it's logging. You also get an indication of memory use, how much memory has been used in the data logger specifically, and we also give you battery level. So let's just keep moving right forward with here. Looking at this slide, the great thing about these UX90s is they are very low cost. One of the philosophies here, excuse me, I couldn't find the proper word, for data loggers made by Onset is we've always lived by the philosophy of having a low-cost product with low power and high memory, so basically high accuracy with these. And we carry that through to today with all of our products. As you can see here, we've really built in some great features into the new UX90s, or I should say now over a few years old, but the UX90 product line that are really helpful for the end user. So the great thing about the LCD screen is you're getting instant feedback regarding your deployment. You're getting your data in real time. you're getting the percentage or the number of time on/off, depending on how you set it up. You can scale a sensor in here, depending on the type of data logger you're using. You have icons placed on the LCD screen for such as, say, light and occupancy, motor on/off, lights on, light off, state logging. There's a lot of great features right on the LCD screen itself. They do have an auto calibration feature, which does show up on the screen when you have the data logger calibrated to the piece of equipment or light, we'll say, that you're trying to monitor. It gives you signal strength, too, of that actual calibration. And you've got memory used, same spot, start, stop from HOBOware and what's left in the battery. Telling you also, this is the key. If anyone's familiar with our old products, we used to have LED lights on the side, and they were very hard to read. So by adding the LCD screen on the data logger itself, you can actually say, hey, it's logging, it's working, which is key. So just a quick slide I'll throw up here explaining what each icon does, right down from occupancy through light. You know, basically you see a little guy with slash lines, the room is occupied and the lights are on. So no guy, it's vacant. It's pretty self-explanatory here. A couple of cool features will go right under the motor at the very bottom. When you have a data logger mounted to a motor, this is what you see, on and off. It tells you positively in the little picture of a motor that the motor is logging and it's on. It's being captured, the data itself. So LCD data on the screen, this is how it displays. You can actually put characters in here for scaling purposes. Let's say you're doing KWH. Using our UX90 001 data logger with a pulse signal, you can actually show it as KWH on the screen. So some of the features when we're talking about the UX90 001, since that's the first data logger in this suite, is it's a state logger, but it can do state logging, which basically is closed, open, on, off, or runtime logging, and that's per the interval. It can do pulse logging, so basically anything up to 50 hertz can be read by this data logger, which is basically 50 bits of information every second and sent out as a pulse format on the interval. You could set that interval to in the 4 hertz, for anywhere between 4 hertz to 361 days versus 50 hertz. We can record up to 240 days. They can do event logging, and what event logging means, basically think of like a turnstile at the train station that you walk through. It's saying, okay, somebody walked through, they walked through again, they walked through again. It's a counter, and that's what it does. The UX90 001 also has an internal read switch. So specifically, if you had a door or a window, and you had a magnet on one side of that door or window, and the data logger mounted beside it, if that magnetic field gets broken, it can count as an open or close. And that's built into the data logger itself. The package actually comes, I think, with a magnet in there, so you can do this type of logging. So you might be saying, well, what are these different modes of logging and what they stand for? So, state obviously is recording between the opening and closing of a contact closure. And that time resolution is 1 second. So specifically when you're logging in the state mode, if something happens, let's say the lights turn on, the data logger sees that, and it says, okay, I'm going to make a time and date stamp saying that the lights are on. And it's going to keep looking every second for those lights to shut off. And when they shut off, it's going to record another data point and make a time and date stamp saying, okay, the lights shut off. Pulse, again, it's really recording the total events that occur over the logging interval. So for instance, when I said to you earlier 50 hertz per second, it's actually, the time resolution of that is 50 bits of information every second, and that gets binned until the interval. And on the interval, it gives you what that total reading was during your interval. Event logging, as I explained earlier, it's, it opened again, or, it closed again, and it's just a counter. Runtime allows you to log the percentage of something that happened during an interval. Let's put it that way. So let's say it's a motor. Hey, this motor was on for 63% of the time during your interval of 15 minutes. So, it gives you a calculation that way. The other great thing about the UX90 001, because it can work in the pulse mode, is it works with other sensors. It'll work to log kilowatt hours using a kilowatt transducer. Specifically, the watt node that we have on our website, it works great with that because that sensor itself has a single pulse output. It can also work with our water flow meter that we sell here. And again, mechanical pulse output, and it's recording in a pulse format. So any meter that offers a pulse output, this will work with it if it's a single pulse output, this specific data logger. Talking about some of the different features, now getting into the UX90 002. Auto calibrate, and a lot of people don't understand what that means. So basically, auto calibration is used to calibrate the on and off threshold of the logger to achieve reliable readings in an environment where ambient conditions may affect an otherwise uncalibrated logger. So when it comes to lighting, one of the biggest things that can affect a logger is ambient influx of light to log that. What this allows you to do is actually set the calibration level to a light, a specific light, and that could be in a bank of lights, or it could be one specific light. And when it sees that level of light, it says, okay, since I'm seeing this, I know the lights are on. And when I don't see this any longer, or less than this calibrated level, the lights are off. So going right down through it, we can talk about the other features. When we're talking about signal strength, the LCD will display the signal strength of the light. The signal strength should be at least 3 bars for successful calibration. And that's the good thing about the LCD screen. You're going to be able to tell if you're in a good spot to track light, specifically with the UX90 002. And it tells you if you need to move the data logger closer. We do have a way to set the sensitivity on this. It has a threshold up to 100 lux. So when monitoring light levels where there is some ambient light, select that minimum sensitivity, which has that threshold set to 500 lux. We offer as an accessory, and I don't have it up here to show you, but for the areas where it's just so difficult that the ambient light is really affecting your readings, we offer what's called a light pipe. And really, all the light pipe does is it clips over the actual light sensor built into the data logger. So now you're isolating the actual light level, or the light, I should say, that you want to understand when it's turning on and off. Let's talk about the UX90 004. Now, the UX90 004 is our motor on-off data logger. And specifically, the way this data logger works is it's tracking the AC magnetic field of a motor and telling the data logger when it's on and off. So within the data logger, there are 2 sensors internal to it, and they're mounted on the X and Y axis. So motor turns on, those sensors see that AC magnetic field created, and it makes a time and day scan and says, okay, the motor turned on, excuse me. And it shows you right on the screen when the motor's on. And again, when the motor shuts off, it sees that there's no AC magnetic field, so it shuts off. It's really, very similar to the way the UX90 002 works when it comes to auto calibrate. You can set that threshold, signal strength the same way, and of course that min-max sensitivity setting does carry through on the 004 as well as the 002. And pretty much on any of these UX90 data loggers, you can do this. So looking at the UX90 002, or excuse me, 004, technical difficulties here. I apologize. We can show you how it looks here when it comes to installing an external current switch. Because sometimes, no matter what, you're going to run into an application where you cannot mount this data logger directly to the motor housing of the motor. So we give you the option, if you have to use the external channel that's built into the logger as well. And now you can connect what's called a current switch. Our part number is C as in Charlie, S as in Sam, V as in Victor, dash A as in Apple 8. It's a current switch with a cable 2.5 stereo right to the data logger. So now that's going to go around one of the power feeds going to the motor, and it's going to track positive on-off based on the power fed through that line going to the motor. All these loggers have those rare earth magnets, so when you put it on the motor housing, if you choose to, it's going to stay where you put it. So last but not least, let's talk about our UX90 005s and 006s. And specifically what these data loggers are is they're lighting and occupancy data loggers. So the best way to explain these is think of it this way. You're in a large conference room and you're trying to understand if this is a good location to put in a occupancy control switch. and you're doing an energy study and you're trying to prove to your client that, hey, look, I think we can save you energy in these different conference rooms because I believe these lights are on all day and the conference rooms aren't being used. So you can set this data logger up, and you can log when the lights turn on, and you can also log when the rooms are occupied. So now you have a correlation of data showing lights on, room occupied, lights on, room unoccupied, and how long it happened for. So it's a great piece of data that you can go back and prove out to your customer that, hey, this is a good spot for control. Especially also, this will work in another application is, let's say you do have occupancy controls within a room, and you're trying to tweak them. A lot of these different occupancy controls in the marketplace have a delay built into them that is controllable by the end user. And they usually come through with a 10 to 15-minute delay built into them. So somebody walks into the room, the lights turn on, and then they walk right out of the room 20 seconds later. Those lights are on for 15 more minutes. So you can actually tweak those to shut off sooner than 15 minutes. So it's a great way to, become more efficient again after the fact. Different detection areas here. The UX90 005, layman's terms, the UX90 005 is designed for small rooms with a 5-meter pattern, as you can see here. And the UX90 006 is designed for large rooms with a 12-meter pattern. And again, it can be mounted horizontally or vertically. Really, the best way to think about these data loggers when you want to go and capture this type of data is where would you put the sensor, or where would you put the occupancy control within that room. And depending on the size of the room, that occupancy control could be right by the door, or if it's a large room, it could be mounted up in the ceiling. The other factor here, remember, these data loggers have rare earth magnets in them. So if you're in a room that has acoustical ceilings and there's a steel grid up in the ceiling, you can stick this to the steel grid and log your occupancy lighting from that area where you would plan to place a control. So, going through what the light features are on this data logger, as you can see here, it's going to provide you the following plot setup screens, lights on and vacant, lights off and vacant, lights on and occupied, lights off and occupied. Another great feature, excuse me, I hit the button a little too fast, is there's a way to show this off exactly like that on a pie chart within HOBOware. A lot of people don't know about the pie chart. It's actually in, I think, versions 3.6 or later. I'll confirm that for you. But if you're running on the latest version of HOBOware right now, which is 3.7.8, you have this feature to use and this data to print out, I should say, right out of HOBOware when you're doing these data loggers. So I hope I didn't go too quickly. As we discussed at the beginning of the webinar, that we would run probably about 40 minutes. Usually takes us about 25 to 30 minutes to go through the slides. And at this point, what I'd like to do is put up the slide on all the different resources we have to offer right on our website. One of the things that we do have out there, which is really good, is we have some great publications when it comes to different application stories and white papers and case studies. They're all sortable right on the website. We do have a new part added to the website, and these are new resources that are added into Onset's knowledge base. So, we can go through and you can select some self-paced online training about different products and actually software. This is a great help when you're trying to understand the ins and outs of HOBOware. The link here for that is as put up here on the screen. I'll leave it up here. It's www.onsetcom/resources/training. And this can be found under the resources tab on our main page. So in the knowledge base, this is another thing that we just rolled out. And it's a forum, really, to go in and look at different questions that come across from our HOBO users. And that would be under support, www.onsetcom.com/support. The user forum is fantastic. This just got rolled out as well. These are all new features that have just come out. Online meeting space, basically, for logger owners. It's really just a great place to get there and try to find out, hey, what are you doing with this data logger? Or trying to find different studies or information on studies that you might be facing to do. It's a great way to interact with other HOBO guys and gals. And that website is as follows. So I'll leave this up here for a moment. Here's our contact information. If there's anything that we can do to help you, if there's any questions that we can answer, please feel free to give us a call. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And our tech support team is here as well during those hours, except they're here until 8 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. We've got some great links up here that'll send for emails if you need to send some information to our application specialists, which I am one of them. You can use the sales@onsetcomp.com email address. My contact information is listed up there. We also have some great social media tags here. YouTube, tons of great videos out there. So keep your eye out for anything new coming up. But I want to thank you for your time. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to start asking them. We'll do the best we can to answer them.
All right. Thanks, Matt. While we're pulling up some questions here from the audience, just, again, a reminder, feel free to type in questions in the dialogue box in the GoToWebinar piece here. So again, we may not get through all the questions, but we'll certainly circle back here. So let's see here. So we got one question here from John out there, and it's kind of a little bit out of the scope of today's webinar, but it's quickly addressable. So, do we carry a power analyzer / data logger?
Well, you know, we do have ways to log power. Specifically, we can do kilowatt hours from a voltage and phase specific circuit apparatus. And what it could do is provide you with that information on an interval basis. One thing you do mention here, John, in your question is you said power analyzer. Now, just to be clear, we are a data logger company, and we record on an interval basis. So when I see analyzer, I'm thinking continuous power monitoring, and it's more like data acquisition. So if that's not what you need, or if that's what you need, I don't know if we're going to be able to provide the proper data for you. If you don't need that, then we're your people. We can help you out. And you've got my contact information. Just give me a call or shoot me an email. I'd love to help you.
All right. So next question comes from Barry. It's a good question. Does the software come with the hardware, or is that a separate purchase?
Well, you know, Barry, great question. We do offer 2 versions of our software. We have HOBO Pro, which we do sell. And to buy a CD version with a USB cable for that, Barry, it costs about $99. However, we do offer HOBOware for free on our website. And basically, it is our basic version of HOBOware where you need that to set up and offload data from data loggers.
All right. Here's a question from Paul. So Paul checks in and asks, is there a smartphone app for the data loggers instead of the PC application?
So Paul, great question. We do have products that work through a app that we created specifically on the UX90 series family, not yet. Right now we do offer Bluetooth, low energy devices that will communicate to an app called HOBO Mobile. And they're really for, at this point, temperature, relative humidity, or even CO2.
All right. So Derek checks in with a question here. How do your data loggers connect into your water flow meters?
Okay, so Derek, I know you saw a quick picture of that sensor. That T-All sensor is something that has to be plumbed in. So you would have to basically plumb that in line somewhere where you're trying to understand water flow. However, with that said, I know in the marketplace there are a ton of different sensors out there that are ultrasonic. A couple of companies that come to mind right off the top of my head is one company called Dynasonic. Another one is Spirax Sarco. And what they do is they make an ultrasonic water flow sensor that has a pulse output. So we can take that pulse information and record it after we scale it in HOBOware. We also see out there that they do have some analog output sensors as well, like a 4 to 20 milliamp output. And that data as well can be scaled with our data loggers.
And Derek, if you have additional questions on that and you would like to see a drawing, shoot us an email and or give us a call, and we can actually show you, email you a diagram of what that looks like physically connected to the data logger. So good question. Barry writes in, can the trended data be exported to Excel?
Barry, that's a great question as well. All of our data that gets collected on our HOBO data loggers, once it gets back into HOBOware, can be easily exported into CSV format through one click right out to Excel.
So we have a question from Paul here, and Paul, this might be an interesting one for us to chat further offline. I'm kind of curious about this, but can I order without the magnets, which may disturb my data? Matt, if you want to...
Sure. Well, I mean, it really comes down to what you're trying to do, Paul, so it might make sense if we definitely have a conversation about your application. All the data loggers except the UX90-001 have the rare earth magnets built into them. The reason why we don't put them in the UX90-001 is we understand that those magnets could interfere with the internal read switch when you're trying to log data from, let's say, an external sensor that's opening and closing.
Yeah, but certainly, Paul, we would like to understand a little more about your application, because if that's the logger that fits your application, then that's an easy one for you. If it's one of the others, then we'd have to understand a little bit more. So at this time, if anyone has any more questions, feel free to chime in as they're coming through here. And so Matt, one question I see here that somebody asked is they essentially are looking at, they really want to know the difference between state and runtime and which logger should they use. Should they use a UX90-001, which is the pulse logger, or a UX90-004, which is a motor on-off? Can you use that for the same application?
Well, it is very application specific. What's great about the UX90-001 is it does allow you to work with an external sensor, again, a current switch or what have you. And all the loggers can basically do runtime when it comes to logging. So state on-off is exactly what it is. It's going to record a point of data when a change occurs. So specifically when we're talking about lighting or motors or a dry set of contacts opening and closing, that is going to record when something happens. So that contact closure, we'll use that as our example. When that closes, it says, okay, that contact closure closed, so it's active. It could be on, we'll say. Maybe that's what it is. When that contact closure opens again, it can say, okay, well, it's open, so we're going to say that that's off. Now, basically, when you're logging on runtime, what you're doing is you're setting an interval, and you're still recording data the same way based on opening, closing, or just state changes. But what it's going to do is it's going to give you a breakdown of what happened during that interval. Hey, this logger logged 6 times on and 6 times off during the 15 minutes. It's going to give you a great way to look at percentage of on versus off as well.
All right, very good. So Richard writes in, does base HOBOware have trending over extended day and month periods?
Richard, I just want to make sure I understand your question a little better here. If you wouldn't mind, I'm sure I have your contact information. I plan to reach out to you after this, and we can discuss that offline, because, again, I want to dive in a little bit more just to make sure I understand what your needs are.
All right. So as we mentioned at the beginning of this, we said the webinar would run about 40 minutes or so. We're coming up to that time already, and I just want to make sure if there's any last questions out there that we get to them. And again, you can see the contact information up here. Certainly feel free to reach out to Matt directly. And then in general, if you're an existing customer and you just have a how-to question with your existing equipment, certainly feel free to reach out to Onset Technical Support. Matt did give everybody the hours for tech support and applications. But just a reminder, there's also a tool on our website that allows you to engage us via live chat. So if you have 600 things going on at once and don't have time to talk on the phone but want to engage in a live chat session, feel free to initiate that on our website. We could do that from the pre-application standpoint or pre-sale standpoint or tech support standpoint. again, as a reminder, the knowledge base is out there and user forums, so we hope that you check it out. The forum is a fun place to talk to other customers, so you don't have to just take our word for it, which is good too. And with that being said, we do thank everyone for being with us today, and we will be reaching out to everyone directly to follow up with any additional questions, as well as we will be emailing a link to this recording, so feel free to step back and check it out again. And have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.